I want to talk a little bit about Bill Gates.
Do you? Do we?
Oh, we do. We do.
In what context is the important question?
A fun context.
Okay, so conspiracies, perfect.
Yes, you're right up your alley, Brandon. So Bill Gates, one of the richest men on planet Earth, who has a God complex and has more power than most heads of state, a great majority, is trying to explain away his long relationship with Jeffrey Epstein because apparently this immensely powerful man needed Epstein for business connections. Does that pass the smell test? Let's take a listen to his apology tour on CNN with Anderson Cooper last night as the details of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein continue to unfold in the media.
Can you explain your relationship with Epstein? Did you have any concerns? Was there ever any concerns you had about it?
Oh, certainly. I had several dinners with him, hoping that what he said about getting billions of philanthropy for global health through contacts that he had might emerge.
So he says several dinners there. Would you imagine, like, oh, that's just at some sort of restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Right. Here is from this article. Bradley, you can come back to us for a second. This article, Bill Gates met with Jeffrey Epstein many times despite his past. Just some of the highlights here. Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder, whose $100 billion plus fortune has endowed the world's largest charitable organization, has done his best to minimize his connections. I didn't have any business relationship or friendship with him. In fact, beginning in 2011, Mr. Gates met with Mr. Epstein on numerous occasions, including at least 3 times at Mr. Epstein's palatial Manhattan townhouse, and at least once staying late into the night, according to interviews with more than a dozen people familiar with the relationship, as well as documents reviewed by the Times. Here's some quotes here. His lifestyle is very different and kind of intriguing, although it would not work for me, Mr. Gates emailed in 2011 after his get-together with Mr. Epstein. Bridget Arnold, a spokesperson for Mr. Gates, said he was referring only to the decor of the Epstein residence.
That was a home decor critique.
But here's the thing, like, so there's the dash here.
Yeah.
This is an interesting use of dash. Was referring only to the unique decor of the Epstein residence, dash, and Epstein's habit of spontaneously bringing acquaintances in to meet Mr. Gates. That's a weird thing to collapse into, like, only the decor. But
yeah, well, I find it also interesting that yes, he was meeting with Epstein at his townhouse, even at least staying late into the night, according to people, and also employees of Mr. Gates' foundation paid multiple visits to Epstein's mansion.
Here's their first meeting. Mr. Epstein and Mr. Gates first met face-to-face on the evening of January 31st, 2011 at Mr. Epstein's townhouse on the Upper East Side. They were joined by Dr. Eva Anderson Dubin, a former Miss Sweden who Mr. Epstein had once dated, and her 15-year-old daughter. Dr. Anderson Dubin's husband, the hedge fund billionaire Glenn Dubin, was a friend and business associate of Mr. Epstein. The Dubins declined to comment. The gathering started at 8 and lasted several hours, according to Miss Arnold, Mr. Gates' spokeswoman. Mr. Epstein subsequently boasted about meeting in emails to friends and associates. Bill's great, he wrote in one reviewed by the Times. Mr. Gates in turn praised Mr. Epstein's charm and intelligence, emailing colleagues the next day. A very attractive Swedish woman and her daughter dropped by, and I ended up staying there quite late. So that's the first meeting with Bill Gates. So it wasn't just like, let's go to the cafeteria in this giant building.
But let's start the clip again, and then with all of that excellent context from Matt, let's digest Bill Gates's full.
Oh boy.
Can you explain your relationship with Epstein? Did you have any concerns? Was there ever any concerns you had about it?
Oh, certainly. I had several dinners with him, hoping that what he said about getting billions of philanthropy for global health through contacts that he had might emerge. When it looked like that wasn't a real thing, that relationship ended. But it was a huge mistake to spend time with him, to give him the credibility of being there were lots of others in that same situation, but I made a mistake.
A lot of others in that situation. Want to name names?
A lot of other philanthropists, shall we say?
Whomst amongst us has not, had multiple dinners with an international pedophile, child trafficking pimp.
And I loved his window treatments.
In the world of billionaires, when you want access to other billionaires, you just have to shake hands with some shady figures. Oil barons, Saudi sheiks, just all types of bad guys if you want to get access to that money. And I understand that, but that's more of a condemnation of that world than it is an exculpatory fact.
Listen, I'm not gonna speculate here, but I'm gonna say that, if I was married to someone for a very, very long time and had this relationship with them where we were philanthropists together, and we ran these organizations and we were very wealthy, I don't think that person who is stuck by me through thick and thin for all these years would leave me because of just a few dinners. That's just my guess.
Well, I was going to say, you mean, I understand what happened. Bill Gates heard that Jeffrey Epstein was a full-on rapist, and it was just a little bit of miscommunication. He heard it wrong. If you say it too fast, it sounds almost like philanthropist, but it's, but sometimes, that's why you got to just double check.
I mean, that's right. The structural things are the really interesting thing here. First on philanthropy, which is just a way for these sorts of freaks. The only reason to be a billionaire is to abuse people on an industrial scale, whether that's sexually or for their labor. So like philanthropy is always going to be embroiled in this sort of thing. There's something with Sanford, the billionaire in South Dakota, that ProPublica published, which I want to see more from. But philanthropists are often very disgusting people. Because that level of wealth is corrupting, and
it's a vehicle to avoid taxes and
right.
and do things on your own terms while also self-aggrandizing.
Yeah, even outside of the personal predators that whose reputations philanthropy helps launder, like Bill Gates, for instance, just in terms of how he earned his money in terms of intellectual property, just litigation and stuff like that. But it's interesting to hear Bill say, give him the credibility, because that is fundamentally we should understand Epstein, that's what he was doing. He was collecting these people so he could continue to get away with abuse. What do you think an abuse victim thinks when he points to a picture he made of Bill Clinton in a dress and says, "Oh, by the way, Bill Clinton flies on planes with me. So what are you going to do? You're gonna go public with some allegation against me? I don't fucking think so." So right. Absolutely, Epstein was collecting these people for leverage, and that it's so revealing. Bill saying a whole bunch of other people did it too, right?
Yeah,
it's like what something I would say to my friends if we stayed out past bedtime or something like that. It's all my friends are out there too. It's Little St. James isn't staying out past your bedtime, and neither is the Upper East Side apartment mansion.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for me, it's also interesting in that same vein, Matt, trying to, watch them twist themselves into pretzels to keep up this just cultural narrative that billionaires are billionaires because they're really smart, and, letting them have that money to do philanthropy with or to do charity with is worthwhile because the government would just misuse it. And these people just have a higher level of cognitive ability, trying to also assuage that with, I didn't know I was hanging out with a billionaire child trafficking pimp, despite that this being publicly available information, trying to have them fit both hanging out with him all the time with this just a scriptive version of billionaires that's inherently morally or intellectually superior. That's why they have this money. But if that were the case, you can't have not known, or you're just a bad person. It just doesn't fit into that framework.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.